really great to be with you here today, and thank you for sharing your lunchtime with us. So as Claire and David said, we want to introduce the Relationships Heatmap with you today and have a go at doing it together. So as a society, we think we network and transact more than ever, but that human connections and sort of real relationships are being increasingly designed out of the services that we use and the places that we live and work. And this can sort of dull our daily lives and reduce the effectiveness of our services and organizations and undermine the resilience of our communities as well. And everything from the layout of our spaces to the language that we use when we're talking about what we do can affect the relationships that we build within our organizations or within our services. So we've developed the Relationships Heatmap, which is an interactive diagnostic tool that helps you to find the warm and the cool spots in your relational practice. Now, lots of jargon there, we're working on that, but hopefully I'm going to help unpick that for you a little bit now. So the heat map helps you to see which parts of your practice and your approach are conducive or supportive of good relationships, and to identify areas in which you could do more to nurture them. So it's all about thinking across your practice and your approach and thinking which areas of your approach are supportive currently of good relationships and which areas could do with a little bit of work. So in the time that we have together today, we want to ask you to use the Relationships Heatmap to spark a conversation about how the public sector can become more relationship centered. And there are 3 steps in this exercise. So firstly, we're going to ask you to pick a place and a set of relationships that are important in that place. So your place might be an organization, it might be a service, it might be an online network or a physical location. This tool is designed to be place agnostic, so to work in all different types of setting. And in order to do this, you might find that some of the questions feel a little bit generic or even a little bit irrelevant for your specific context or for your specific place. If this is the case, please feel free to choose not applicable or to interpret the question in a way that makes sense to you. The tool also works best when you focus in on a specific type of relationship or set of relationships. For example, your relationship with your service user or the relationship that you have with your colleagues in your service or in your organization. Now, if we had longer together today, we'd take you through a relationship mapping exercise to begin with, which would help you identify the different relationships that you have in your place and which are in need of the most attention. But for now, we're going to ask you just to have a go at pinpointing that for yourselves quite quickly. So once you've chosen your place and the relationships that you want to focus in on, we're going to ask you to answer a set of questions that get you to reflect on your approach and on your processes. And once you've answered these, we'll be able to compare and contrast results and hopefully have a really interesting conversation about what we can do to improve relationships within the public sector. So in this session, we're going to use the collective function of the heat map, which enables us to see our results side by side. And usually we use this functionality when we're doing this sort of session with individuals from the same organization. So today it's a little bit of an experiment to see how it goes using the collective function with all of you who are obviously from different organizations or different parts of the public sector. So please keep in mind that this is a bit of an experiment. I'm confident that we're going to get some interesting conversation on the basis of this exercise, but it might not be completely seamless. So please forgive us if that is the case. Please also keep in mind that whilst we're going to be able to see our results side by side, this is very much not a competition. So we're not here to see who comes out with the highest score or to cast judgment on one another, but instead to see what we can learn from one another by discussing our areas of strength and our areas of weakness when it comes to relationship-centered practice, or when it comes to working in a really relationship-centered way. So everyone will have different standards that they use and that they hold themselves to. So the results that we see will be sort of self-interpretations rather than any sort of scientific judgment or exercise. And finally, kind of please keep in mind that the value of this exercise will come from the conversations that we will have in just a moment once you've all had a go at completing the heat map. So, as I mentioned, we're going to have a go at creating a collective heat map. So I'm going to put a link in the chat that will take you to this first page. Please click on the yes button and then work through each of the questions with your specific organization or service in mind. If you have any questions as you're working through it, please pop them in the chat and I'll keep an eye on that. But hopefully it's sort of it makes enough sense that you can work through it individually. And we're going to give you sort of one song's worth of time to complete this, but if you need longer, please do just keep working away on it, and in that time we're going to be transported off into breakout rooms to, as I say, have a bit of a conversation about our results. So I'm going to stop sharing now and pop the link in the chat. And as I say, please have a go at using the heat map, filling it in for your organization, and then we'll be able to see our results side by side and hopefully have an interesting conversation. And while we're doing that, I think Adam is going to share some music to get us going. Across this group of people, and where there's more blues in the column, the cooler the sort of practice around relationships is in that area. And then, yeah, the third thing we're going to talk about is where are the areas of collective coolness, and crucially, why do we think that is the case? Why is that kind of practice or approach or part of the public sector kind of a little bit cooler or less conducive to relationship forming? So I'm going to pop the collective heat map results into the chat and then ask Adam to put us all into breakout rooms so that we can start exploring the results and hopefully having an interesting conversation around that.